What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So it's been a few days since I laid down primer on these Sedan front end WRX parts. And so today I have started moving forward on this project. So the plan is to wet sand everything. As you can see, I have already started on the bumper. I am going through it with 320, mainly because I don't have any 400 grit sandpaper. I do need to go get some, but also because there were some kind of rough spots around where the fog lights are inserted, like right here. There's like some rough spots on there. I don't really know what caused it, but also along the edges here, and then also this part as well, and like these edges. And so I really wanted to get that smoothed out, and I thought I should probably just do a once over with some 320. It does feel a little aggressive for where I'm at with this, and I don't know if that's typical, but it just seems like if I go too hard, especially with the block, that I start going through the primer, like right here. I don't know if you can see that. I kind of burned through. But also I didn't really get in here as well as I thought I did with the primer. It was a pretty hard spot to shoot the primer in there and lay it down really well. So, but I don't know. In any case, I do think I'm just gonna kind of be careful with the 320. I don't know if it's really what you should use for this stage as far as wet sanding goes. But like I said, it's what I have and I wanted to get started, and so I'm just kind of going over it once with that. I went through the whole bumper already with the 320, and it's pretty clear to me that there are still some high spots, because you can kind of see that the spots where I really hit, it's a lot more dull, and then the spots that I haven't really touched as much are a lot shinier still. And they're the color that the primer was after I laid it down. There were those little like drip marks on the fenders, if you remember. Like I'll show you one right here. It's probably not the easiest thing to see, but I have like a few spots like that throughout the fender. Right there and right there as well. And so I think that the 320 will knock that down pretty easily. That's kind of the plan. So more wet sanding, guide coat, more wet sanding after that. Once that's all complete on all these parts, then I will start laying down the base coat and then the clear, and then we can install these parts on the car. All right, so I have been going back over this bumper, wet sanding with the 400 grit, and I am noticing that it's getting a lot smoother. I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. Hopefully you can see it on the camera. But if you look like right here, you can see how flat that is. Just how like smooth. Don't worry about that divot. I'm gonna try to fill that back in actually, but yeah, if you look like where I've hit it, it's like really smooth. You can't see much of the texture. Like there's a spot right here where you can kind of see some more texture. I didn't quite get it totally smooth like that. And I think the 400 grit is definitely the way to go, because I'm able to get it smoothed out like that and get rid of that texture without risking like burning through it as much in spots. So that's kind of where I'm at. I've done a lot of the bumper. I still have this other side to finish over here. Like as you can see, there's a lot more texture on the side to get through and get smoothed out. And there's still a little bit in spots. I don't know how important it is to get all of it out. And the other thing that I'm kind of wondering now is because I can see where it's all smoothed out and there's no more like texture from the primer, is it necessary to use a guide coat? Because I assume that the guide coat is supposed to allow you to see where those high spots are, but if you can already see where that's at, is it really necessary to use it? I'm a little concerned to use it at this point because now I'm worried that I didn't use enough primer. I only did 2 coats because that's what it called for on the instructions. So I'm just worried about, what I'm worried about is applying the guide coat and then having to sand that guide coat off and sanding too far and sanding through a bunch of the primer. Maybe I'm overthinking it and that's not really something that I should be worried about. But I also just wonder if I can see that it's all flat and smooth and there's no texture left from the primer, is it really necessary to take that extra step? So I'm gonna do a little bit more research before I decide to use that guide coat and make sure that it's something that I should actually be doing at this stage. I have a bit more sanding to do on the bumper before I move on to these other parts. You can totally tell the difference though, I'm sure even in the camera, like you can see the texture on these pieces. Compared to what it looks like when it's all sanded like this. So definitely making progress. I'm trying to just be patient and pace myself because the last thing I want to do is like rush through some steps and then have the paint just not turn out as well as it could. I was able to get the grill nice and smooth and get all of that texture out from the primer. Same with the bumper for the most part. There is some like tiny spots still on here where there's like a little bit of that texture. I'm still kind of worried about burning through because I have in some spots, like you'll see here on the grill. You can see how that burned through. I don't think it'll be an issue for like laying paint down over it, but I just don't want to take it too far. And I am going to move on to the fenders, and I am really curious to see the difference because the fenders are metal, and so I'm interested to see if the sanding goes better, worse, or the same. And I'm hoping that maybe there'll be less texture on there, but there could be more texture on there because they're metal. So it is dumping hail right now out there. That's crazy. You can see our trees that we had to cut down because of the snow this year. Wild snow here in Reno. So the fenders are actually going really well so far. It's getting so smooth. I'm not even really having to do that much work and it's getting really nice and smooth. I'm not sure how much of the texture you can really see on the camera. It's hard to get it to focus on it, but you can see that this part that's like really shiny, part of it's because it's wet, but part of it's just because it really is just that smooth. So you can see how smooth that is, and then you kind of work down this way where I haven't hit it, and you can see how there's still like texture in the paint. And I don't know, I think that's probably because it's metal, and maybe it just laid down smoother with my gun. But man, I am really excited for what the paint is gonna look like on these fenders because it is just getting so smooth, like looks like marble. So yeah, that's a positive sign. But yeah, I'm just gonna keep working, and I should be able to get these done fairly quickly compared to the bumper and grill. It just seems like it's smoothing out a lot quicker. All right, so over the past few days, I have been working on getting all the wet sanding finished up, which I am finally at the point where I think they're in a good place so I can move on to the next stage. I've gone over and cleaned all of the pieces with some all-purpose cleaner, and I'm gonna go back through and hit them with some 90% isopropyl alcohol. And right now I'm just working on remasking everything. So I'll give you a quick walkthrough of where we're at. So they're all unmasked. I wanted to just remask because there was some like paint dust kind of collecting on the masking tape, and I didn't want any of that to get into the paint. So had to strip it off, and we have to redo it, unfortunately, but you know, I want it to turn out as good as it can. I did decide to go ahead and forego doing the guide coat because I was really able to see where all the high spots were. You can kind of see in some spots where there's like a little bit of texture in the paint, like just slightly. When you feel it, it's like super smooth, so I'm not too worried about it. And I just want to be careful against the edges, like right here, because that's where it seems to want to burn through a lot easier. And so I just made sure on like the big areas in the meat of each section that I was getting it nice and smoothed out and getting rid of any of that texture. But all in all, it looks pretty dang good. Again, like kind of burned through slightly right here on these edges, but I think that it will be okay. It makes me a little nervous because there's just like a tiny bit of like metal peeking out. But you know, I am not willing to sand it all back down and try to put more primer. I just don't think that it's worth it. Hopefully I am not kicking myself later on and wishing that I did, but I don't think that'll happen. I think it's pretty dang good as is, and it should look really nice when I lay down some base and clear. So I'm going to keep working on masking this off. I got to get through this piece here, which shouldn't take me very long, but then I also have to get through the fog lights and the center piece here on the bumper, which does kind of take a bit. I have the paint booth set back up somewhat. I do need to like hook up the fans again and get all that in place, but that doesn't take too long. So my plan is to get all this masked off and ready to go today and get the paint booth all set up, get everything ready to go. And so that way, if it's kind of late in the day today, I'll just wait and then I'll be able to spray the base and clear tomorrow first thing in the morning. Ran out of filters and didn't realize it, so I'm just gonna roll with it. This stuff was already thinned out and ready to spray, and when they mixed it up, they used filters, so I'm hoping that it'll be fine. All right, everyone, so booth is ready. Cleaned all the parts, hit them with the tack rag, wet the floor, got everything all positioned, paint is in the gun, compressor is on, we have pressure in our pressure regulator, and so now I am just going to hop in the booth and get it done. That's what she's looking like. Ready to go. So I will give you an update as soon as I spray down a couple coats of base and show you where we're at. All right, y'all, so just finished 3 coats of base and they look pretty nice. One thing that I struggled with this time is actually bought a new gun. and it took me a minute to get the hang of it. It's a way better gun. I'm super happy with it actually. Like where the paint laid down nice, I mean, it's so good. I mean, it looks really good. I messed up. I didn't have my air pressure right, and see all these runs right here. I don't know if it's gonna pick it up on the camera, but all right here. I was trying to get in those cracks because that's a spot where I've missed before on these bumpers. And I just went too hard and I was a little too close. And yeah, so there's runs there. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to fix that. But not too bad. I mean, that's the worst spot. You know, there's another one in a similar area on this side, I think. Oh yeah, right inside there. You can see that little run. That one's not that bad. I'm really not concerned about that. I think I can make that look okay, although it's gonna be kind of hard to get in there, so we'll see. A little bit of orange peel, like super fine looking orange peel. But all in all, not too shabby. The grill looks nice. Same with the fenders. Everything on the fenders turned out pretty good. I didn't notice any runs or anything on there. Definitely have some orange peel in there. But you know, the orange peel that I'm seeing on these parts isn't really bad at all. I mean, I'm sure if I was a pro, I would probably be able to lay this down and it would look like glass, like just right away. I wouldn't have any orange peel, but you know, I'm learning still, and especially having a brand new gun. I do think it was worth using a brand new gun, even though it took some getting used to. It's an Iwata, which I think that's a pretty reputable brand of paint gun, and so it wasn't super expensive. It was like 150 bucks. I didn't really want to spend that money, but my old paint gun, it had so much stuff built up inside of it, and I wasn't able to clean it. I had like gone through it with lacquer thinner and other paint gun cleaners, could not get all that stuff out, and the last thing I wanted to do was shoot like a little goober out of the tip of that thing while painting this, after I've spent just hours and hours trying to get these sanded down really well and primed and all that. So I just didn't want to use it anymore. This gun's a definite upgrade, and I think once I really get the hang of it, my paint jobs are gonna be looking quite a bit better. So yeah, but just wanted to give you guys an update. That's what the parts look like so far. I'm pretty happy with it. It could always be better, honestly. I'm sure that's just gonna be the way it goes, learning how to paint and do body work. For a long time, I'm probably going to be at least a little bit unsatisfied and realize that there's things that I did wrong and mistakes I need to not make in the future. Like this, there was a hole right here. I don't know what they had screwed in there, but I apparently didn't get that thing totally filled. I thought I did. I even went back over it at one point with more Bondo, but there it is still. So it's all good. I mean, it's a huge improvement. Most of these cars you see on the road these days don't look this clean. So I think it's gonna be really presentable. It's gonna be something that I can be proud of, and so I'm not really stressing it. Stir this up, throw it in the gun, we're off to the races. Like I said, don't roast me. I know I should be using a filter. I ran out, didn't realize it, it's too late. All right, so it is the next morning, and the parts have been drying overnight. So let me just give you a quick walkthrough of the results. The bumper, it's kind of hard to see. Turned out really nice overall. I'm pretty happy with it. This piece is the only one out of the 4 pieces that I did that I had mistakes on. I'm not sure why, but I have a big run right here. I'm not sure how much it will pick up on the camera. And then same thing on the other side, I have one over here. This big ass run in the clear. I don't know why that happened. It is a new gun, and so, oh, and there's another one right here. It's smaller. That one I'm not super concerned about. I'm pretty positive I'll be able to get it out. There's also some drips underneath this that are pretty subtle, but it just kind of annoys me. You know, it's a new gun, and I am glad that I used the new gun. I think it performed a lot better than that old gun that I had, and that thing was filthy, so I think I could have made much worse mistakes had I used that one. But anyway, it does look pretty good. I do have some runs that I do need to fix. I've been kind of watching some YouTube tutorials on like how to fix those, and it seems like it probably won't be a problem. I'm gonna use the little razor blade technique, basically grind them down till it's flat, and then we'll sand it and then polish it up, and hopefully you won't be able to tell. But for some reason, the bumper had some mistakes. Grill looks really good. There she is right there. There was a slight run that I did on the first coat that's right there. But it's not showing up too well anymore. So that one's gonna be really easy to fix. I'm pretty sure just polishing will get rid of it. And the fenders turned out really nice. There they are, just looking so shiny, man. I mean, that new gun that I got, it just laid that clear down like glass. It's so cool. I've never had that happen so well before with clear. So I'm really happy about that. But yeah, there's a little bit of orange peel. I'm sure you can see it, but it's not bad, and it'll come right out with some buffing and polishing. So I'm not concerned about it at all. And I mean, the car is pulled in here, and you can see it compared to the fenders. The paint match looks pretty dang good. So I'm stoked. I am just going to get started, you know, putting the like blinker lights back in here, the little mounting brackets on the sides as well. And then we're gonna disassemble the parts off of the car and get these things put on, and I cannot wait to see what it looks like. So I'm gonna get started. right, so there it is. Damn, it does look really good. Let's get it out of the garage, pull it out into the sun, and we'll have a look out in the daylight. Phase one of the wide body conversion is pretty much complete.
man, it does look really good. So a couple things that I've noticed that I'm not super happy about is this right here. So see that gap? I don't have that on the other side. It's because that one was all bent. So, you know, it's a little bit irritating, especially if you look from like back here. You can kind of see how it sticks out. Definitely annoys me, and I'm gonna want to fix that. And I'll work on it over time and get it all sorted out. But also, the fender liners don't fit because this is so much wider. So I need to try to order like the OEM Sedan fender liners if I can find them and they're not too pricey. But yeah, obviously you can see the drip marks right here. I'm well aware, but we will take care of all of that. Every little part that's like that I'm gonna go through and try to fix. But you know, all the lines are pretty nice and tight, which I'm happy about. Obviously the hood isn't, because the hood is damaged. It's got this big dent right there that causes it to sit funny. But I really love the look of this grill. I think it just gives it such a facelift. So I'm real happy about that. And man, the paint match, like, I mean, it looks really good. You can definitely tell that other parts have been painted, especially when you look close, because there's like the orange peel texture on here, and then there's not on the hood or the door, but you can definitely polish that out. So yeah, pretty dang stoked. I'm definitely really happy with it. The next phase of this like wide body conversion is obviously going to be addressing that hood. I do have a hood that I showed you guys in the last video. So I'm going to be sanding that down, doing some body work on that. There's like one small dent that I need to get out, and then I can prime that thing up, paint it, as well as the JDM hood scoop, which is right here sitting on the shelf. We'll be painting this guy and getting that installed as well. After that, I do have rear doors for a sedan. I do need to pick up a GD STI fuel door, or just WRX fuel door from the sedan. And then I'm going to be ordering some rear quarter panels. They're fiberglass ones that I found from, I think it's ABW that sells them over in England. They have them for a pretty good deal actually. So I'm going to be figuring out how to fit those up to the rear quarters, and basically this whole thing will have the sedan wide body. I did consider flaring it at first, and then I was going to go the route of putting on like some 10.5-inch wide wheels, but I'm just not sure I want to do that. I might just want to keep it kind of like OEM Plus style for now. If I get bored with it in the future, I can always flare it later. And honestly, flaring it with those sedan rear quarters will look really sick anyways. So yeah, I'm real happy with it. Having those wider fenders and the sedan bumper just really takes this thing up a notch in terms of its visual appeal. So yeah, super stoked that I got it done finally, and we can move on to the next phase of the build. Sorry about the mess over here. We had to tear down a bunch of trees and stuff after the winter. We had so much snow this year that our yard just got trashed. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here. I really appreciate you guys watching. Please stay tuned for more. I have a lot more time coming up in the near future now, so I'm gonna start trying to crank these videos out weekly if I can. The paint and bodywork stuff just takes a lot longer than most like mechanical issues that I try to deal with, or other like modifications that I try to deal with on the car. So it's just hard to make those videos happen like quickly. And I don't want to bore you guys just showing you like what I did during 1 week if it was literally just a bunch of sanding. So I am really trying to stick with the videos and show you guys the progress and take you for this little journey on this car build. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more and you like this content. And until next time, peace out, everyone.